Hello internet friends and welcome to the video. Except it's not really a video. Today is more of a listening experience, so while I put images into the video, if you have some chores to do, feel free to just look away and enjoy the sound of my voice. Just kidding. You won't enjoy the sound of my voice, but I can guarantee you that you will enjoy the sound of the voice of my fellow friend and YouTuber, Mr. Mortis Media. Mortis Media and I are collabing for this video, and I'm super glad he approached me about collaborating on this particular topic, because we're giving you a total of seven horrifying encounters with skinwalkers. This video will contain 3 of the 7 stories, one of which Mortis Media has so graciously narrated. Seriously, he's brilliant, and he'll have a video up on his channel that will contain the other 4 stories, 2 of which I've narrated, and 2 of which he's narrated. I'll be linking that video at the end of this video, so be sure to click on that to get the full Skinwalker experience. And if you've never heard of a Skinwalker, well, now you're in for it. My family owns a farm in the heart of an Indian reservation. One winter, I was home for Christmas taking care of the farm while my parents were away Christmas shopping. As I was home by myself, way late in the night, I hear all of our cows freaking out. I knew it had to be the wild dogs that are rampant in the area, so I throw on some boots, grab a shotgun, load it up, and head out to the field. This was the perfect scenario for a horror movie. It was cloudy, but there was a full moon, and it was breaking through the clouds, making it just right to light up all the snow. I ran out into the middle of the field just in time to see 2 giant dogs standing up, facing each other and fighting. I think perfect. 2 for 1. So I pump a shell into the chamber of Mr. 12 gauge, and then it happened. The 2 dogs heard the rack. They both stopped, looked over at me, and ran away on their back legs. I immediately froze, and every ghost story about skinwalkers and all the other native legends I grew up with flew through my mind. And keep in mind, I am a white guy, and up until then, these were all just boogeyman stories the native kids like to tell to scare us. That night, they became real to me.
I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I saw something strange in the woods outside of Homer, Nebraska. There's an old graveyard out there that's infamous for having a witch buried there, and is a local hotspot for kids to go scare themselves. Most of the land out there is flat, and is used for farming, but this graveyard sits on the edge of a big hill, and is surrounded by thick woods all around. So one night around midnight, me and my 5 friends decide to go out into the woods and find the grave, because the one in the actual graveyard is supposedly fake, and the real one is out in the forest. So we begin our adventure trekking through the forest, and it doesn't take us long to find the real grave, as a couple of people have already seen it. We get there and stick around for a couple of minutes, just messing around trying to scare each other, when we all get an instinctual feeling of dread. I know a lot of stories talk about it, but it is very real. It's probably worth mentioning that as a kid, I lived in a haunted house, and I've been in situations when I have been attacked and jumped, and I've never felt this feeling before. We decided to get out and away from that grave. Now this is the part where us being stupid teenagers almost got us killed. One of the kids I was with say that some people grow pot out here, and he knows where to find some. So even though we clearly felt something very wrong, we thought, let's just get high for free. As we started back walking through the woods again, I began to feel like I was being watched. And every now and then, I would get rustling of leaves or crackling of earth from behind me. I told my friends that we needed to move faster, but they all just said I was trying to mess with them. Eventually, as we kept walking on, we stumbled onto a clearing, and I couldn't really see anything ahead of us. When all of a sudden my friend starts taking off for the other end of the clearing, and we all go after him. As we do so, we hear all the cattle around us freaking out. That might sound anticlimactic, but you try getting chased by a 1,200-pound bull. So after we got 100 couple of yards away from the cows, something else scares them worse than us. I mean, I've never heard a sound like that coming from an animal. It was a horrible mix of the cows being scared to death by something and an unearthly, ear-shattering scream. We hit a 360 no-scope the hell out of there in the opposite direction. Now, by this time, I realised that we were in the middle of the woods at 2 AM and lost, with something stalking us. I finally convinced everyone that we should change direction so that we can get to the road. About 30 minutes later, we're making progress, and someone spots some headlights from way out in front of us so that we can see the top of the hill we're on. We start walking down towards the road when I noticed the sound behind us had started up again. I turn to my friend and tell him to point his iPhone flashlight behind us. I only saw something for a split second, about 30 yards away. It was a blackish brown figure with yellow eyes, leaning its head out from behind a tree, and then quickly duck and go backwards behind. That is what really freaks me out. As animals around here don't sneak around and duck behind trees. I got the best look out of all my friends, and the head looked like a gaunt German shepherd with little resemblance to a human face. The eyes and mouth looked far more human than any dog would have. There aren't any wolves or bears around here as far as I know, and there are no large predators at all. It was a little bit elevated, but still eye level with me, and I'm 6'2". This thing was at least 6 foot, so I'm pretty sure it was bipedal. And at this point, take off. I swear I never ran that fast in my life. We make it to the road in under 5 minutes. But then we realised we came out on the other side of the woods and had to walk back 3 miles to get to our cars. It was honestly the scariest night of my life. And to make things worse, I ended up losing my wallet out that night. I've been back there multiple times, but never at night. Whatever it was not human nor animal. Based on the stories I've heard, I think it's a Skinwalker. But your guess is as good as mine. There have actually been reports of a similar creature in the exact same place I saw it.
I lost my firstborn, my only child, possibly because of skinwalkers. It begins with me moving from the East Coast to the Navajo reservation to live with my mother's relatives just before I started high school. So I meet this Navajo guy and we begin dating. We had a pretty bad relationship, and I decided to move back in with my dad on the East Coast. A few months later, I realized that I was pregnant. I contacted him, explaining that I was intending on going through with it and taking care of her. This is when strange things began happening. Through the summer, my dad and I would have campfires in our backyard with our neighbors and our dogs. We lived in a nice neighborhood. I felt completely safe there. But one night while we roasted hot dogs over the flames, my neighbor's dog seemed distraught. She kept stalking the fence lines and looking out into the black, growling. It set me on edge, so I turned in earlier than usual. Those nights were hard for me to sleep at all. It was quiet, and suddenly a shrill whistling pierced the air for a good minute. Knowing that whistling attracts skinwalkers, I noped out of my room and went to my dad, who had also heard it. Like a dumbass, I stepped out onto the front porch to see if there was anything unusual, but everything seemed fine. So I went back into my room and was able to fall asleep. Then the dream came. It seemed to be happening in real time. I was asleep in my bed facing away from the door, and in the dream, I woke up for some reason, and a calm, unisex voice told me that I was being watched. I peered over my shoulder and saw a black mass of a man lying on the ground in front of the bed. A black mass of an older woman with visibly tangled, messy hair was in the doorway, facing my direction. She noticed that I knew they were there, and she backed into the shadows like she was trying to hide her face. She disappeared into another room, and the dream ended. Terrified of the dream and the events leading up to it, I told my mother, who then spoke to a medicine man. He said the parents of my ex contacted skinwalkers, an old man and woman. They did something to my uterus that night, supposedly. Something about putting a small woven basket inside of me to make the pregnancy as complicated as possible. To try and reverse the damage done, the medicine man wanted me to send a few of my clothes so he could bless them and do a ceremony, since I wouldn't be there myself. But it didn't happen fast enough. A little more than a week after my mom sought out the medicine man, I went into labor 2 months early. She was stillborn. I bled a lot in recovery, and the nurses seemed concerned about a large blood clot in my uterus or something like that. They explained how big the clot was and why it was putting me in so much pain, and I realized it was just as big as the woven basket was described. I was already depressed before I became pregnant, and everything worsened after that. Having to deal with setting up cremation services, seeing Dawn swaddled one last time, holding her tiny body one more time. She never opened her eyes. I hadn't really believed in skinwalkers before, but I had such a personal experience. I believe they took my daughter from me. Alright guys, that's all I have for you in this video, but now's the time for you to click right here and go check out the other half of Creepy Tales on Mortis Media's channel. We split the difference. You narrate too, I narrate too, more creepy for everyone. Not only is it an awesome video, he is a seriously talented narrator and YouTuber. He interacts with his fan base, he uploads consistently, and he's good at what he does. He's really good at it. I have no doubt you guys will enjoy his narrations, and he's got plenty of them to watch, so go, my children, go binge on Creepy Tales and subscribe to him because I truly think he deserves the love and the following. Thank you all for watching, and have a spooky night. I'll see you on the other video.
This thing's face is beyond my powers to describe. It was evil. The eyes were black and the pupils were red. It flashed its teeth at me in a snarl,